Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. Tracy Clairmont joining us here today. She's a certified hypnotherapist, also a life coach. The name of her company is Tracy Clairmont Hypnotherapy. And the website, would you mind sharing how we can reach you?
I can be reached on via email at hypnowithtracy@yahoo.com. So that's hypnowithtracy@yahoo.com. And I do have a website being developed. It's not up and running yet, but I'll be happy to announce that when that happens.
All right, great. So today, let's talk. I mean, first and foremost, so we got to know each other recently. For new listeners out there, tell us a little bit about the work you do before we get into the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah, I am a certified hypnotherapist and a life coach. I love doing hypnotherapy with people. I can do it in person, of course, and I also do it over Zoom. To do the hypnotherapy over Zoom, I talk to people about some things that need to be in place before that. I ask them to have a laptop as opposed to doing it on their phone, just because I need to be able to see the person, and sometimes phones can fall over, or maybe a cat can walk through and tip something over. And I also ask for a space that is comfortable, but not necessarily their bed, because if you get too comfortable, you might fall asleep. So a space that's comfortable that we can, that I can easily see you on. And I also ask that a client has a headset so that I can hear well. Because when we go into that hypnotic state, it's very easy to be, so relaxed that your voice might be quiet, a little hard to hear. And I really need to be able to hear what exactly is going on, so that I can guide you through the healing that is meant to happen. And hypnosis is a purely natural state. We are in hypnotic states all the time.
All the time. Driving, that's the best one, right? When you go to the grocery store and you're like, how the heck did I get here? But I remember leaving the house and then, well, what was it? Were you on a phone call? Were you just admiring the beauty of scenery outside? Were you thinking about a memory about someone? It happens all the time to me.
It happens all the time. Yeah. Even like when we're singing or watching a movie, when we're about to go to sleep, that's a hypnotic state. So we kind of go in and out of states like this, and it's a deep, relaxed state. That's what hypnosis is. And I am a guide to get a person into that state, and then to facilitate healing and change. A lot of times our conscious minds really want change, like really want it in the worst way, but our subconscious mind doesn't support that change.
True.
And if you think about the mind power of our subconscious mind, how it really is what's driving the bus, that it is 88 to 90% of our mind power. It makes sense that if our subconscious mind doesn't support change, then our conscious mind is really going to have an extremely difficult time achieving it.
Yeah.
So hypnotherapy is a way to guide a person through, but do the healing to allow the subconscious brain to support the change that the conscious mind is wishing for or is trying to achieve.
And the multiple benefits to hypnotherapy, we can go on and on about that, right?
Yes, I really can't think of many things that it isn't helpful with, that I can't think of issues that are not appropriate for hypnotherapy and healing in that manner. It really can address any issues. And if you think about the fact that these issues that we have, they're all related to experiences in our past that are stored within our subconscious mind.
Yeah.
That really, it really provides that kind of foundation for why any issue is able to be healed within hypnosis. If everything is based on our past experiences and the emotion we attach to it, then anything would be able to be healed within hypnotherapy.
Right. And what did you have in mind for us today? What are we diving into, Tracy? Remind us.
Yeah, I would love to just talk a little bit more about questions that come up, concerns that people have. I know I've mentioned some in the past, but I haven't really gone into much detail about different concerns that people often come to hypnotherapy with, or, questions. It does feel somewhat like venturing into the unknown. So people, are unfamiliar with things, so there may be fears that go along with it. So I wanted to just focus on relieving some of those fears and normalizing the experience and whatnot. So I thought I'd address some of those things. So one of the questions I'm asked frequently is it safe? Again, it's a completely natural experience, so it's very safe. There are no side effects or things that
Hmm.
you know come out of it when you're simply in a deep state of relaxation. Um, when people think of safety, sometimes the concern comes up of a fear of opening up memories that people have worked so hard on containing and not letting out.
Hmm.
They might be afraid of what memory might pop up when we go back to scenes. And I can understand that too. I worked with people for years who have put so much effort into keeping their traumas and their experiences at bay so they can move through their daily life. And the problem with that, when you contain things and you don't release, is that
Hmm.
those those feelings, those emotions, they come out some way. They will seep out. They will work their way out, whether or not it's in emotional dysregulation or physical illnesses. Those emotions, they always find a way out. So
Hmm.
facilitating that in a healthy way and achieving that release through hypnotherapy is very healing. So if a person does go to a scene that is something that was traumatic or frightening,
Traumatic. Hmm.
I always help them to be there as an observer, and I put suggestions in that make it so the person is not reliving it. They're simply observing it. We are going in as investigators. We're trying to figure out what experience it was, what originating experience it was that caused this issue today. And then we're putting it all together. We're figuring out the connections so that I can guide the person into releasing that, so there is no longer that hold. So it's really done in the safest of ways.
Yeah.
If someone does start to react as though they're really afraid again, then we take a step back and just reinforce you're an observer, it's not happening again, and continue on with what we're there to learn. So it's really done in a very careful, safe manner. And I mean, people do go back to experiences all the time that they don't have conscious memory of. And that's what is so helpful about hypnotherapy. Going back to those originating experiences, we might think we
Hmm.
know, but when we go back into our subconscious, it could be something completely different that's really driving the bus and generating those fears and creating limiting beliefs that we have.
Yeah.
Another question I'm asked a lot is, can anyone be hypnotized? I have heard people say, "Oh, I can't be hypnotized." And anybody who is willing to be hypnotized can be hypnotized. It As long as you have the ability to listen to guided direction and follow that guided direction, the willingness and the ability to follow the guided direction, then you can be hypnotized. Now, can I hypnotize somebody who doesn't want to be hypnotized?
Yeah.
Um, I don't actually know. I've never done that. I
Hmm.
don't think I could like go into the store and hypnotize the clerk if they
Right.
didn't. I
True.
I could. I certainly wouldn't want to,
Uh-huh.
ethical hypnotherapists don't abuse that kind of practice. But so anybody who's willing, anybody who could follow the guidance and the guided direction can certainly be hypnotized. Um, I have been asked, like, what if, uh, what if I do something that I don't really want to do, and they'll reference entertainment
Of
hypnotherapy.
course. That stage, that what do you call it? That's a stigma of what hypnotherapy could be. A stage
Right,
hypnosis. Hmm.
right. Yeah. And that is hypnosis, not hypnotherapy. And that is entertainment related, right? That's for entertainment purposes.
Hmm.
I will say that uh, the 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 hypnotists in those stage performances, they're looking for people with big personalities who really, really want to be hypnotized, and because those are people who are going to really be wanting to perform,
Hmm.
right? They're going to be wanting to do that. So those are the people that they're looking for. I know I went to one of those performances and I was one of the people in the audience who was just like inside terrified that I was going to be chosen.
Oh, uh-huh.
And now that I have training in hypnosis and hypnotherapy, I know that I would have been the last person that person that the hypnotist chose for that performance because I was not willing. I was not willing to do all these things for entertainment purposes up on that stage. And I would have been, one of his last choices or one of their last choices. So
Yeah.
in hypnotherapy, even when you're in a deep relaxed state, if I were to ask you to do something um, that you weren't willing to do, then you won't do it.
Yeah.
You still have free will, even within the hypnosis hypnotherapy experience. So you won't be made to do things that you're not willing to do, certainly not by me, just ethically. And also because you still have free will and you still have the ability to say what you will and will not do. So that's a fear that can be laid aside.
True. Hmm. Good one.
Yeah, sometimes people ask if they're going to be asleep. Uh, so this is not a sleep state, it's deep relaxation. And when you're doing hypnotherapy, it is interactive
Hmm.
because you're going back to scenes that set the issue into motion. So I ask you what you're seeing, feeling, sensing, experiencing. So you'll be talking back with me about the scenes, and that in itself shows that you're not asleep. Now, there have been times when I've been doing hypnotherapy with somebody and they have fallen into a sleep state, and then I recognize the signs. You can tell by movements and breathing and the color of their face and things like
Hmm.
that. You can tell when that's happening, and then I just say the person's name a few times, and I bring them up to a level of awareness where they can focus on my voice again, and we continue on.
Yeah.
There's there's no cause to be embarrassed if you were to fall asleep or anything like that. All of these things can be just very carefully managed if they occur, and nothing to be embarrassed by. Let's see, again, people worry about whether or not they're going to be in control
Hmm.
of themselves. Um, or if they're going to be under my control since I'm the hypnotherapist. And like I said before, you're always in control. There's nothing that I can make you do that you're not willing to do. When I do work with people who want to quit smoking, one of the biggest questions I ask before we go into hypnotherapy is, do you want to quit? Because I can't make you do something that you don't want to do. right? So if,
Mm,
say, somebody comes to me for stop smoking because their spouse sent them, and that's why they're there. Well, I want to know if they want to quit. Okay, your spouse wants you to quit, I understand. But do you want to quit?
exactly.
You're the
Yeah.
one who will create the change. And I can't get you to do anything that you don't genuinely want to do.
Interesting.
Um, Now there might be like, yeah, I want to quit, but I still really like smoking. I mean, that's okay because you do want to quit. You're just
Hmm.
about the thought of not having this habit that you've had for so long, and that's understandable as
Yeah.
long as your desire to quit is there. Let's see, another question. Will I remember what happens in
Good
hypnotherapy?
one.
Yeah. And that in hypnotherapy, you're in uh, I would say a medium trance state. When you go into deep, 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 deep trance states, those might be times when you don't remember everything. But with hypnotherapy, we want your awareness to be at a place where you can be talking and interacting. And I would call that a medium trance state. And you do remember everything. If there's things that you don't remember, then I take notes as we go, and you can certainly ask, or we can review the things that have happened. And then also the the recording at the end, you actually go home with the positive suggestions. So
And
that
how often do you have to listen to that, Tracy? How does that work?
I ask people to listen to their recording. It's a self-hypnosis process.
Hmm.
It's a recording where you're just quickly brought into a hypnotic induction, and then you listen to maybe 15 minutes of positive suggestion based on
Hmm.
that was done. And I ask for people to do that for 21 days
Yeah.
following a hypnotherapy session. And the reason for that is because one of the rules of the mind is that our minds learn through repetition, 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 repetition. So repeatedly entering those positive suggestions into our subconscious mind helps to solidify the healing.
Hmm.
And then that becomes the thought, the pictures and the words and the thought that drives our us after that, right? The more positive, self-serving suggestions are then what is moving us through our daily living. So yeah, for 21 days, I ask that people do that. And it's a nice relaxing process, it always feels good to go into a state of relaxation. I was doing regular mental health therapy with a 5-year-old the other day, and we were playing with dolls, and she was kind of working through from some of her childhood early early experiences, and she had me take a nap. So she had me sit in
Hmm.
this chair and lay,
Aw.
and she told me to close my eyes and just be still. And I laid there, and it only lasted for like a minute before she was on to something else, and I needed to
Hmm.
something else. But in that 1 minute, I laid back and I was like, wow, this feels
Powerful.
really good just to take a very short moment and relax. Relaxation and calming our nervous system is so important to do. And the goal of my goal, I should say, my goal for hypnotherapy is to help people do the healing that could help them to be in a calm, relaxed state throughout their day, to have their nervous system regulated,
Hmm.
moving through the world in a calm body and a calm mind. That's when we function at our best, and that's what feels best for us. It's really hard to move through the world with our nervous system activated because then we're always functioning in a fear state.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to move through the world fearfully. That's the opposite of moving through the world calmly and with love, right? And it's so much more peaceful and so feels so much better to be in a calm body and a calm mind, moving through the world in that way. And hypnotherapy is a great path to getting there. Very much so. Let's see some other questions. Oh, I often get asked if am I going to be able to move when I'm hypnotized?
Mm-hmm.
People worry about these things, right?
Yeah.
They worry about, oh my gosh, if my nose itches, can I scratch it?
Uh-huh. I've been.
Yeah, absolutely. Scratch your nose. Change your position if you need to. You could even be if you're in hypnosis and suddenly you really need to use the bathroom, it's okay. You can voice that. And we can bring you up to a level of awareness that allows you to go to the bathroom and come, and then we just count you right back down. I know that when I was doing my training with Mark Johnson, I was uh, I was in a nice, relaxed state of hypnosis. I was doing it over Zoom. I was the client. He was the hypnotherapist. And I was listening to his guidance, and then all of a sudden, I didn't hear him anymore. And I can remember sitting there, and I was just feeling really nice and relaxed. And I was thinking, wow,
Uh-huh.
I don't hear him anymore. But
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit here for a few more minutes. This feels so good. And then I kind of had to say, okay, Trace, you really need to check to see if he's still there.
Uh, wow.
And he wasn't.
Oh my
The
gosh.
Zoom had been lost. I kind of brought myself around to awareness, which is another question people
Mm-hmm.
ask. Can I get stuck in hypnosis? No, you can't. You can easily be brought out by the hypnotherapist, or you can
Yeah.
come out of it naturally yourself. You won't get stuck. And in this situation, I just brought myself out, brought my awareness up so I could figure out what was going on Zoom, and I reconnected, and I heard
Mm-hmm.
him say, "There she is." And then he quickly counted me back down, and we were right back into the session. So I'm glad I had that experience
Yeah.
because it, showed me how easily these things can be problem solved, and that nothing is the end of the world or whatever when you're doing things electronically and over internet and whatnot.
Always, right? Yeah.
I'm really glad to have that experience. Let's see other things. I get asked if there's negative side effects. There are no negative side effects to hypnosis or hypnotherapy. Again, it's an all natural experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
it feels good.
yeah, and just we only have a few minutes left, but just briefly about you, just remind us about your certification, just a little bit about you. So people, maybe thinking about hypnotherapy, but trying to find a good fit. Would you mind just sharing a little bit about yourself, Tracy, before we go?
Sure. So I am certified through the International Association of Counselors and Therapists in hypnotherapy. I'm in Western Montana. I am happy to see people in person in my office, or I can see people over Zoom. I also do life coaching, and I really enjoy just helping people achieve a level of peace and joy and fulfillment in their lives, whether it's through hypnotherapy or through life coaching, or a combination of both. Sometimes we do hypnotherapy first, and things changes are created in somebody that life coaching then helps with. Like maybe they come into their own
Yeah.
expressing their feelings and things like that, and then they,
Mm-hmm.
how do I communicate that? How do I manage that? How do I maneuver that? That's something that has happened many times. So hypnotherapy can go over to life coaching, or if people are a little leery of the hypnotherapy, maybe that's a little too much for them, then life coaching is always an option. And I focus on, fulfillment, support, empowerment. How would you like to see your life look? How would you like it to be?
So
and
true.
then talking them through how they can achieve that.
Got it. Wow. Well, it's exciting. I mean, the work you're doing, you're helping so many people, and you do offer initial consultation if someone's interested in your work, right?
Right. Yeah. Just email me at hypnowithtracy@yahoo.com, and my name is spelled Tracy. And I'm happy to email with you, schedule a consultation to talk about what you're interested in, what you would like to experience differently, what the issue at hand is, and then we can talk about which is a good fit for you.
Perfect. And remind us how we can reach you, Miss Tracy.
Via email at hypnowithtracy@yahoo.com. That's hypnowithtracy@yahoo.com.
Great. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you back here with us and looking forward to the next time we connect. Again, reach out to Miss Tracy and we'll have another conversation. Are we back together next week?
Yep.
Okay, great. Looking forward to that. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.